All right, we're live.
We are live.
Out of here. Don't move too much. No, I mean, like, I was going in your chair.
I've already shuffled.
Yeah, okay, yeah,
Cool.
sorry, laptop.
You'll need that.
Yes.
All right. Hello. Welcome to AIP with Jeg. I'm AIP. This is Jeg. We are going to be going through adding some features to an application that I made a couple of nights ago. I added a bit too much polish to it, but I really wanted some fun animations on this. But what I've done is I've made a simple OSDK application that has my notes. You can see how exciting my life is, showing the technologies used in the grocery list. The way I have done this is I have used Redux Toolkit and the Ontology SDK. And this app is really simple. All I have here is the ability to get my notes, create them, you can see the word create there, edit them, and delete them. So what we're going to do together, I'm not great at doing this workflow, so we'll see how that goes, is add a semantic search on top of this. So I luckily made a note here that tells me the difference between semantic search and traditional search. So normally when you make a search in an application, if I looked for the word React, then I'd find the word React. In semantic search, we understand the intent and the context. So if I have apples on a list, then I should be able to search for oranges. That's if this works. So let's quickly rattle through building this feature. The first thing I'm going to do is jump into my AIP with Jeg folder. And you can see that I only have one resource in here. I'm actually going to make a function. And this function in our code repositories application will be written in TypeScript. It will be called our embedding function. And the job of this function is to edit our ontology and add embeddings to our object. So an embedding is an array of numbers that represent a vector. In the ontology, what we're going to do is store what a model is saying is the embedding of our note. If I find my note, cool. And then be able to search by doing a comparison of distance. So the first thing I need to do is add an embedding, and we're going to pick a vector. I know that the model I want is OpenAI's text embedding Ada 2, and it's an edit-only property. We're not going to back it from a dataset. So let's hit save here, and then hit save again. We're really sure. And go back to that embedding function that we were working on. Did I close that? I must have. All right. So there are a few things that I need here. I think it's called an ontology edit function because our function is going to edit the ontology. Believe that. And I'm going to need to import both a note, this very exciting note object that I'm using in my application, and a model. And we said it was Ada, right? You were there. Cool. Let's save that up. And then let's delete some of this template code. So like I said, I don't really remember what comes out of where in the ontology. I don't write these every day, I swear. And I think note will come out of here. So what we're going to do is write a function called embed note. We're going to take a note. We're going to return a promise of void. And then we're going to read the docs. Let me just find where I put those. So embedding, maybe? Custom models to make a semantic search workflow. There's a lot of text. A lot of text. A lot of text. I don't know if that's what oh, there you go, Palantir provided models. So I'm hoping there'll be a big code block where I don't really need to think about what I've done and I can just copy paste that. And believe it or not, there was. So we are going to hopefully have a note that has an embedding on it. Look how well this is going. And we're going to await the text embedding, which I have not imported. So let's see what I'm missing here. This needs to be async. And then that returns. I need to import my embedding. I will find out how to do that shortly by reading someone else's code. Cool. So I think this is all the code I needed. And .content. And then why are you unhappy? Or undefined. I think this will work. Almost. I think this will work. Once again, bringing my confidence to the table. I'm going to hit commit on this and call this initial commit. So original. So the first thing we're doing is creating a function that will edit our ontology and add that embedding onto the note. So we could actually have that embedding added immediately as we're saving the note, but I don't want to block my action running on the embedding happening as well. So I'm making it something that happens afterwards. We're going to use automate to do that. So this is going to take a second to publish. I think a reasonable thing to do is add an input box here. So we'll put the word input, and then look at that. Maybe there's a type search. I'm going to hope that that works. We have search notes. That seems all right. I've already put so much effort into the CSS here, so I can't help myself. I'm going to do a CSS.action here, and then quickly sneak in and do .actions display flex gap $gap. Why not? Whatever you say. Right. So we have a search box. The next thing we want is when I hit enter to take that value and edit it. So const search set search, and then on enter key press, who said I need to remember how syntax works? If key equals enter, and do that. It tried, but what I actually want is set search to p dot current target value. Cool. So what I've quickly done is on enter press, handled that key press. I want to set my search, and on change, on key press, on key down. Cool. Now we're going to pause for a second and think about what I did wrong. I think I didn't put react.use callback. So I think this will work. The easiest way to validate this is for us to also put in a alert, and we can do e.target.value. Cool. So I've stored that value in React, and then I'm going to do an alert just to check that everything's working. So I should be able to write hello, and then I see hello. The goal will be that you will see a response, and then maybe we're going to select one of these notes to see where our data came from. So now we have this embed note function. I can now go back to my ontology. Wonderful. So I'm going to go to note in our ontology manager, and I'm going to add an action. And this action is going to be based on our function, and it was add embedding to note. Was that the one we just published? Nope. These are some interesting functions, some of which I do not remember making. I think it's embed note. That looks like our code that we just wrote. Do you agree? Yes. Next. Action type name, embed note. Description. Who cares? Icon. I mean, sure, why not? These are the things that matter, right? I think this may be everything I want to do in this action. So I can save this to the ontology. So I've just created a wrapper that means that this note can be run, this function can be run as an action, and the action is the thing that applies those edits to the ontology. And now I'm going to add an automation. The automation is for this action to run on a specific cadence. And the cadence I want is whenever an object is modified in a set, or object is added, because we want those embeddings to be added immediately. And I think this is it. So whenever a note changes, then the object is added to the set, and we should run embed note. Parameter n requires a value, n is our note, and then we can hit next. Administration builders. Hit next one more time, and we can create that automation. Automation. Note. Automation. Save. Right. Cool. So I have a note automation. I can hit execute, test that out, and for all the notes that already exist, we should be able to add an embedding and just see that work out quite nicely for us. The easiest way to do this and see if this note was added, we have a batch that's running, is if I jump to one of these notes, we should see an embedding property. And if I hit load, we should see error loading vector. That's not what we wanted to see. Maybe it's still running. Cool. While we're thinking about this, we should write our logic function. So the logic function that we're going to write is one that then pulls that data and lets us do the search. We're going to do a much more impressive search than just finding something. Yes, we could say like, oh, the information you want is in this note, but we'll try and retrieve that information as well. So then we're going to do like note lookup is our logic function. Did that automation finish? Maybe hit refresh, hope that our vector exists now. Oh, look, vector. Right, so I'm going to add an input, add query, and then the first thing I want to do is get my notes. So object, can I just type in note? No. Object. Create object set of note. Cool. So I've got all my notes, value, all notes, get all notes, and then I want to do a semantic search on all notes and search on the embedding. So we can choose how many returned objects get added to our logic function. I would recommend more than one, but the reason I'm adding one is to prove it works, because considering I've only got 4 notes, it'd be easy for this to work every time without me putting anything useful. So if I put in meat preview run, then we should find the note that has my groceries logically. Yeah, wonderful. Look at that. This is actually going very well. Not that I'm surprised. I'm surprised at myself. A product I believe in. Cool, so given the query, we can do / get the query. What was it? Answer the question only by looking at the content of the notes provided. And then we can do notes. Get all notes. And then, searched or get all notes. Cool. So we're going to get the content of those notes and the UUID. We're going to do something exciting with that. Return your answer and the UUID of the single note that helped you most. Cool. And what we're going to do is create a struct. We're going to return an answer and we're going to return a UUID. I think my answer is going to be a string. Cool. And then we can ask any query. Looks like meat's back on the menu. Boys. Classic quote. I really hope this works. The phrase "looks like meat's back on the menu, boys" is a quote from Lord of the Rings. The grocery list includes chicken breasts, indicating that meat is indeed back on the menu. Cool. Now, unfortunately, I'm going to choose whether we cut that or not, in case I can't use Lord of the Rings quotes. So I can also type the word meat, and we can see chicken breasts is on here. Is there meat on the menu? Question mark. Dun, 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 dun. Yes, there is meat on the menu. Cool. So we have this note lookup thing. I can hit save. I can hit publish. And now I have a function that's available to use. I should be able to then go to dev console and take note. I should be able to go to my data resources. So far all we have is edit, create, delete. And now we're going to add a function. The question is my function available on this list? Not yet. Maybe it's syncing. So let's go to note lookup, see if my function exists. Let's crack that guy open. Note lookup. I am waiting. So my expectation is that there is an indexing that is happening right now. I'm going to try it one more time, and this is going to work. Otherwise, we're going to go back to coding. There's always something we can be doing, right? So if we go to data resources, and then we add function, we have note lookup, great. See, just a little bit of cheeky indexing. We were too fast, right? I hit save, I go to SDK versions, and I hit generate. So we're making a new SDK. I'm using the TypeScript v2 syntax. You can enable that by turning on beta features, but it's dependent on whether you want to try the beta features. So now that I have this new SDK that's being generated, my expectation is that I'm going to add a new API in here under the new embed functionality. So we're going to do an npm install at, we're going to remember what our SDK was called, and then we're going to do add latest. Now I expect this to fail because I have the wrong peer dependency on some RC version. This is what happens when you use the bleeding edge. Things go wrong. But could not do 0.28. So that. You know, we get to try cool things if we live on the edge. So I'm going to continue to do it. And you can't stop me. Right, I'm back. And I should now have a running app. So we want to make the search notes thing work. The first thing I'm going to do is go into my notes API code here. Let's collapse this. And we're going to add. Does anyone remember what we called that function? I don't know why I'm asking you. You don't respond to me. Note lookup. Cool. So note lookup dot API name. And then we're going to add that query. So let's get this builder query. Let's copy paste this guy. This doesn't really provide, I guess it does provide tags because it's searching on the note.api name. So let's just say that that's dependent. And then what we're going to do is note lookup. And then I think there's an execute function. Our query goes in here. And then we can put the parameters of query. This is going well. So we're just getting that data or that function and getting it called in our Redux code. And then once we have a response, we have a return type. So note lookup dot return type. Let's get rid of those brackets. And let's see if we can just return data as serialized object response dot. I think that's it. Maybe I missed some brackets. All right. It's compiling. That's always a good place to be. So now we have a search. It's getting stored into the search variable. We will want to do a lazy search. So Notes API. Now from Redux, we can use a lazy note lookup query. We're using the lazy one because we want to call it on user action rather than my brain stopped. We want it on user action rather than immediately. Cool. I knew I'd get there. So then use lazy note lookup query. And then we have search notes and search notes result. Cool. And then search notes is going to be dun, 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 the action that we call. Yeah, let's give that a go, eh? So on here, what happens if we just select search notes, e.currentTarget.value? Nice. We're getting somewhere. And we don't use set search. Whoop, it wanted to do something. No, I don't want that. So the couple of things that we want to do is we want a react.use effects, and whenever those search results come through, we are going to set selected note to the data.uuid so that the actual result on the screen ends up being immediately selected. We need search notes result to be the thing that this is based off. I think that this will work. We can shove in a section here with search notes dot or result dot data dot answer. Sweet. And if there are search node results, then we can do this. Right. Are there other things that I need to do here? I want to disable this field when our search note results are loading. I think that will work. If this works first time, then this will be great. So what is semantic search? My expectation is it will make a request to our AIP logic function. It will describe the logic function here, and then it will select the object here. So what it's done is it is creating some sort of answer based on my question by looking at the notes that it's been passed in, and then showing me the exact note that gave it the information that we needed. And we can do some exciting stuff like, what's for dinner tonight? We can give it a second to load, and then we can see the note does not specify what's for dinner tonight. Use your imagination. Give it a second, and chicken breasts with rice and a side of apples. And there you have it. I managed to step through the ability to create a function that embeds the content of our notes into a semantic search. I managed to implement a retrieval-augmented generation where we searched through all of our notes and then provided an answer based on the content of that note and shoved it on the screen. Cool. Catch you next time.